My fiancée said, "I can't marry a poor man," and left me. Years later, I became rich, and she came back asking for another chance. I was 24, Ryan, living a simple life full of hope and dreams. I wasn't rich, I didn't own a car or a house, and I didn't wear fancy clothes or dine in expensive restaurants. But I had something I thought was more valuable than all of that: love. I was in a serious relationship with a girl named Alina, a beautiful, kind-hearted woman who was 21. We met during college and became close friends first. Slowly, our friendship turned into something deeper, something stronger, and before I knew it, we were making promises about the future. We used to talk about marriage, children, and a house with a small garden where we drink tea together in the evenings. She used to say that money didn't matter to her, that as long as we were together, everything would be fine. And I believed her with my whole heart. Back then, I was working at a small tech company. The salary wasn't huge, but it was enough to cover my rent, bills, and save a little every month. I wasn't earning much, but I was passionate about my work and dreamed of starting my own business someday. I thought Alina understood that. I thought she was proud of me for working hard and staying focused. Every time I talked about my future plans, she'd smile and nod, telling me I was smart and that someday I'd do big things. Her support gave me strength. She was the reason I kept pushing forward, even on days when I felt tired and lost. But life doesn't always go the way you expect. One day, out of nowhere, the company I worked for announced that it was shutting down due to financial problems. All of us lost our jobs. I still remember that day clearly. I walked out of the office with my laptop in my bag, feeling like the ground beneath me had disappeared. I went home and sat alone in my room, staring at the walls, wondering what I would do next. After a few hours, I gathered the courage to call Alina. I thought she'd be worried, that she'd comfort me, maybe even cry a little. But her reaction was strange. She just said, "Oh no, that's really sad," in a flat voice. There was no emotion, no real concern. That was the first time I felt something was wrong. In the weeks that followed, everything started changing. I tried to stay positive. I applied for jobs every day, took freelance gigs, and even considered starting a small service online. I told Alina I just needed time, that things would get better, but she didn't seem interested. She started ignoring my calls. When we met, she'd always be in a hurry. She stopped asking about my day, and when I talked about my struggles, she'd get quiet or change the subject. One day, I asked her if something was bothering her. She just shrugged and said, "I don't know. I feel like we're going in different directions." Still, I held on. I refused to believe that she could change so quickly. I thought maybe she was just stressed, or maybe she didn't know how to handle the situation. I decided to do something that would remind her of the love we shared. I took what little money I had left and bought a simple silver ring. It wasn't expensive, but I picked it carefully. I even wrote a small note with it, saying that I might be struggling today, but I'd give her the world tomorrow. I asked her to meet me at the park where we had our first date. That evening, I waited on the bench with the ring in my pocket, heart beating fast. When she arrived, she looked beautiful but distant. I tried to smile and act normal, but inside, I was terrified. After a few minutes of talking, I took a deep breath, got down on one knee, and pulled out the ring. "Alina," I said, "will you marry me? I know I don't have much right now, but I promise I'll work day and night to build a beautiful life with you." Her face went pale. She looked at me, then at the ring, and then back at me again. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just took a deep breath and said, "Ryan, I can't do this anymore. I can't marry a poor man." For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. I asked, "What did you say?" But she repeated it clearly. "I need stability. I need someone who can give me the life I want. I'm sorry, but this isn't enough." And just like that, she stood up, gave me a weak smile and walked away. She didn't even wait for me to say anything. I sat there for hours, holding the ring, staring at the ground, feeling like my entire world had fallen apart. The girl I loved more than anything had left me because I didn't have money. That night, I went home and cried like a child. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I just kept thinking about her words over and over again. I can't marry a poor man. Felt like a knife in my chest. I couldn't believe that after everything we had shared, after all the promises, she could walk away so easily. And not because I cheated or lied, but because I wasn't earning enough. I spent weeks in silence. I stopped talking to friends. I deleted all her messages. I blocked her number, not out of anger, but because I knew that if she ever called, I'd still want her back. I didn't want to live like that, waiting for someone who had already given up on me. One day, as I was sitting alone in my room, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Enough. I'm done chasing people. From now on, I'll build my life for me." The next 2 years were the hardest and most important years of my life. I had nothing. No job, no relationship, and almost no savings. But I had pain, and that pain became my motivation. I worked day and night. I took any job I could find. Freelancing, delivering food, tutoring kids. I spent hours learning online, improving my skills, building my own website, and slowly, I started getting clients. My business began to grow. I focused on small companies that needed help with software and digital tools. I stayed up late every night, slept on a thin mattress in a shared apartment, ate cheap meals, and saved every rupee I could. After a year, I had my first big client. Then another. I hired one assistant, then two. My work started to get noticed. By the time I was 27, I owned a small but successful IT company. We had clients in multiple cities and even a few from abroad. I bought a car, then an apartment. Then I got invited to a business conference as a guest speaker. My face was printed in a local business magazine. People who once ignored me were now sending me emails asking for advice. Life had changed completely, and that's when it happened. One evening, I got a message from an unknown number. It was Alina. "Hey Ryan, I just saw you in that magazine. You look so successful now. I'm so proud of you. I was wondering if maybe we could catch up sometime." For a long time, I just stared at the message. I didn't know what to feel. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I just felt empty, like a part of my life was suddenly standing in front of me again, asking me if I remembered who I used to be. I replied politely, "Sure, let's meet for coffee." We met at a fancy cafe in the city. She walked in, still as beautiful as ever. But this time, I noticed something different in her eyes. Regret. She smiled nervously and said, "Wow, you've changed so much." I just nodded and said, "Yeah, life's been busy." She tried to talk about old memories, tried to laugh, but I could see that she was struggling. Finally, she said what I knew she came to say. "I made a mistake, Ryan. I shouldn't have left. I thought I needed money, but I realized I needed you. Do you think we could try again?" I took a deep breath, looked at her kindly and said, "Alina, I'm not the same person you left, and you're not the same person I loved. I wanted a partner who would stand beside me when times were hard, not someone who'd walk away. You didn't just leave me. You left when I needed you the most." She looked down, eyes full of tears. I stood up, left some money on the table, and said softly, "I wish you all the best, but I've already moved on." And this time, I was the one who walked away, without looking back. Sometimes the people who leave you in your worst moments don't deserve to stand next to you in your best ones. If you believe in building yourself no matter who doubts you, like and subscribe for more stories.